KKZ Radio, 102.7 Adrian, Missouri.
To the Bates County Memorial Hospital tax page. I'm going to tell you, go read it. Read it all. You'll find things that they're not telling you when they talk. All right. Let's start off with in 2022, the hospital ambulance made 1,392 regular runs. 665 lift assist refusal for treatment were canceled. Those are non-reimbursed calls. They made 463 transfers. They call it higher acuity care. That means they take them to another hospital for treatment that Bates County doesn't provide. So they made 2,520 runs in 2022. Yeah, we need an ambulance. That's no doubt, and no doubt in anybody's mind. However, what they're telling you and what they're actually saying on their webpage aren't always the same thing. They've been pushing this as an ambulance tax. Well, by state law, they can't apply for an ambulance tax, but they can ask for a hospital tax. And they expect this tax to generate $1.2 million, which is really not that much money in today's world. They're often asking for a 50 cent or 0.5%, saying they could have asked for $1, 1%. They don't mention that they could have also asked for 25 cents or 0.25%, and still gone that way. They don't mention that. So they also say, if we are lucky enough to have any additional funding, which is not likely, we be able to utilize the funds to address other needs of our hospital, as they've been put aside to provide ambulance service in the past. BCMH is focused on providing the necessary health care services to our community, and we believe they are best suited to continue to provide 911 ambulance service within the Bates County. This is the sole reason for the requested hospital tax. They also go on to tell you that this tax is going to go in to general funds. And they don't expect to need the $1.2 million until 2027. So will they be moving this into another account so that it strictly is used for ambulance service? No. They're putting it in general funds, and if they decide they want to send it somewhere else, they'll send it somewhere else. I'm going to get rid of this background. It's driving me nuts. So, why is it called a hospital tax on the ballot? Because the hospital is a political subdivision, and we cannot ask for an ambulance tax. It has to reflect what's permissible by state law. That's fine. Say that. Don't come out and tell people it's an ambulance tax. It's a hospital tax. Let's be a little more honest and straightforward. They just are not being totally honest, which turns me off, upsets me. And let's talk about funds availability, not for them, for us, for you, for me. It seems like anytime anybody is in trouble, they just say, "Oh, this raised taxes." It's not just a hospital. The federal government, they're spending money like it grows on trees. There ain't that many trees. And they just raise taxes, raise the taxes. Let's charge some more taxes. Look at these bank failures. Look at the banks going under. And why they're going under is because they tried Biden's ESG. They were making loans on an equity basis, not for people that are qualified to get a loan because work experience or anything. They were making loans based on gender affirmation, woke attitudes. I wanted to say something else here, but they were making loans that were good for the environment. Whether anybody could pay them back or not wasn't considered. This was some of Biden's stuff. This was a poorly managed bank. The Silicon Valley Bank was a joke. Signature Bank was the same. And we're bailing out the depositors. Now, let's think about that. Let's say Adrian Bank went under. Do you think they would give us more than the FDIC insurance? Most of us don't need more than that. Most of us are pretty well covered at $250,000. But these guys had millions, in some cases billions of dollars in the bank, and the feds are going to take care of it. Federal Reserve's going to give them their money. Not going to cost the taxpayers anything. Where the hell do they think the Federal Reserve gets their money? The government doesn't make money. Government takes your money, takes my money. And this brings me back. Bates County is not a rich county. It's a poor county. So we have a lot of people sitting on retirement income, Social Security. Where are they going to come up with extra money for a hospital tax? You know, look at the inflation we've been hit with. We got an 8% raise on a 16% inflation. That didn't hardly cover. We all lost ground there. Natural gas for those of us in town using natural gas for heat. Good Lord, it's quadrupled. It doesn't make sense. We can't afford, I can't afford to pay like this. People's savings are disappearing. People are living on their credit cards. We're going in the hole. And they want to raise their taxes again. That's not how we do things, not how we should be doing things. This is our fault. We've voted these people in. We've let the hospital get away with all kinds of stuff over the years. Don't get me wrong. The hospital staff are great people. The nurses, the doctors, the lab techs, all of them are good people. It's management that sucks. Suddenly we need $1 million plus infusion. And they're talking a good game. Biden talks a good game when he talks coherently. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to vote against the hospital tax. I just can't in good faith vote for something I feel like they lied to me about. Enough on that. Let's talk about, I don't know how to talk about this without talking about the southern border. But the fentanyl flood in this country killing over 100,000 people a year. And that's probably a conservative estimate. We have fentanyl coming in from, well, two main countries, China and India. China is flooding Mexico with the chemicals, and Mexico's making the pills. India's doing the same thing. But that's not all of it. China's sending stuff by mail, sending it in shipments on the East Coast, all up and down the eastern seaboard. There are shipments of fentanyl coming in, and this stuff must be cheap to make because they know they're going to lose at least 25% of it. It's going to get caught, it's going to get seized, it's going to get destroyed. Maybe more. But if you flood the market enough, and I don't think for China that it's about the money. Well, I think the Mexican cartels and stuff, it's about the money. They're probably making 500% profit on this stuff. China's about degrading our country. They're destroying us. They're buying us out, buying farmland. This is just another tip of a multi-tipped attack on the United States. Told you this was a soapbox night. On the fentanyl, I don't know what to do. I don't have an answer. I know that having open borders isn't the answer. I know Mexico isn't going to help us because all their officials are being paid off big time. I would almost make money bet that a lot of ours are too. Money is going all over the place. Probably going into funding for some of the political candidates. Why would they want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg? Same thing with the banks. They can't kill the goose that laid the golden egg. Most of those people that are huge depositors are also huge contributors, probably to both parties. We know they're contributing heavily to the Democrat Party, but we don't know. Maybe they're contributing heavily to the Republican Party. I haven't seen that broke down yet. And we're getting dumb. I think that's a plan too. The Fed started funding education in the mid-'60s. In 1967, we had the best education system going. That was the last year. Just happens to be the year I graduated. 1967 was the last year. By the middle of the 80s, the Fed had started controlling what was taught in the school. You want money? Teach this. You want more money? Teach this. Now they're controlling what's being taught. The feds are controlling what's being taught in your local school. We got to stop that. The states need to take back the education system. We're not in bad shape here. The local school boards are doing good. There are areas where the school boards aren't being vetted when they're voted on. These people are putting gender affirmation, sex education in second and third grade. We need to take this back. Our high school graduates are now reading at the 7th grade level. Their math is at 6th grade level. And I question whether those numbers are accurate or not because I've watched some of these kids try to read and I've watched some of them try to do math. Jesus Christ, they can't count backwards from 100. Or they would be able to make change if they could. I couldn't get out of first grade until I knew how to make change. If you can count backwards from 100, you can make change. It's that simple. We are rated number 3 in math worldwide. I think that's a joke. I don't think we rate number 10. I'm just from my personal observations. All right. I told you this was going to be a rant night. I've done my rants. I've covered the banks. I've covered the education system. I've covered the hospital tax. I can't say ambulance tax anymore. That's not what it is. We've been lied to, misled. So, you know, Mary, I got mixed feelings on that. I think we should be able to pick the school we want to go to. Actually, what I think is more people should be homeschooling. And one of the things I've seen done is a group of parents have been getting together and doing group homeschooling. Maybe one parent is good at math and she teaches math, and maybe another one's good at history and she teaches history. They take turns. They're teaching small groups. Like when I was a kid, we're talking 10 to 20 kids, and they're teaching them math and history and reading, writing, and we need to do that. I think that should be done. I think there should be a movement, especially in the states that are apparently under the control of this crazy teachers union. Like I said, we're in pretty good shape here. Look at little Ballard. They put out some of the best kids. They've got some of the best teachers around because they care. Adrian's good. Butler's okay. It's just well, Mary, that is not the kid's fault. That's the parents' fault. And there are standards to be met, and there's testing done. If those kids are passing the testing, they should be able to get a diploma. Missouri's pretty lax on that, but some of the states are much tougher, and they have to test quarterly. And they have to pass those tests, or the parent can lose the right to homeschool. But there has to be something done. But what we're doing is not working. And I think our state legislatures are scared to take on the subject. They're trying to please too many people. So if the kids are failing, it's the parents' fault. If the kids are failing in high school, that's the parents' fault. Parents are not involved anymore. They think the school is a place that they babysit. I'm curious, with a lot of the schools going to 4-day weeks, there's going to be a big boost in daycare. A lot of money to be made in daycare right now. So those are my thoughts. Mary's putting her thoughts out. So what about the rest of you? Anybody got anything to say? Because I beat on the soapbox all I'm going to. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not eloquent. So, but I'm open, and I'm going to say, you don't have to agree with me. The important thing is you think for yourself. Take in all the information, Make your own decisions. Don't listen to me. Don't don't listen for the spokesman for the hospital or any of that. Just do your own research. You got hospitals got town hall meetings coming up. They had one in Butler yesterday. For Adrian, it's March 21st at 6 p.m. at the Optimus Building. Rich Hill is the 23rd at 6 p.m. at Kern Center. Saturday, be at the Bates County Memorial Hospital Education Center. They're having a pancake breakfast. Go to those. Ask questions. Express your concerns. Let people know. Think for yourself, for crying out loud. Stop believing everything you see. For God's sake, stop watching the news. So, I'm going to mention that I was actually approached to put somebody from Bates County Hospital on here. Then they ghosted me. So they had a chance to come on and talk, and they backed out. They just flat ghosted me. So I don't feel sorry for them. It just falls under the rest of the deal where I feel like they've lied and spoke untruths and tried to mislead. Bill, I know you're right. I've seen guys graduate from high school that absolutely cannot read and they cannot do basic math. And yes, printing is barely legible. God help us if they ever have to write cursive. And they can't spell. That's not new. When I was still in business, I used to offer the service of printing letters of intent for the high school seniors to send to the colleges, and we put them on nice paper and the whole thing. And they can be thankful that we ran spell checks on those. One guy wanted to study business, and he spelled it B-I-Z-N-E-S-S, business. Teachers need to be allowed to teach. I agree with that. They need to be allowed to teach a curriculum set by the local school boards. They don't need to be bringing in their sexual preferences, their pronouns, and all that crap. But they need to be able to teach. The feds have been there for over two generations, Bill. They've been in there for two generations and been able to indoctrinate and control what's being taught. I think that explains a lot of things right there. If any of you want to come on here and talk, I can bring you on tonight. All you got to do is sit at home. You need a camera and a microphone, and preferably some earbuds, so I don't get a bunch of loopback feedback. But I can send you an invite and bring you on so you can express yourself right here on this show right now. If you want to come on at another time, we can bring you on at another time. Tonight is going to be gone here in a little bit. Next Wednesday is already spoken for. But the Wednesday after that is currently wide open. So if you want to talk, now's the time. It's coming up on the end of March, and election time is right around the corner. If you got strong feelings on this, Get out and vote. Run for office. There's no reason. I'm looking at the ballots for this April, and there's 2 spots running with no oppositions. You know, that's a good question, Bill, and I don't know the answer. Mary might know. Mary, are you still on the school board over there? I got a feeling that the kids at Miami are doing good. It's a small school. I think the school board people are good people. And I think the smaller schools may not be teaching some of the strange subjects, but at least they're teaching. We've taken a lot of stuff out of the schools. Civics is not required anymore. American history, world history. We aren't teaching things, and we need to be. That's, you know, the thing is that the saying is about those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. The ones that do study history are doomed to watch the ones that don't study repeat it. So, all right. We've done about 30 minutes of me ranting and raving. If you've got comments or questions, if you want to be on and express yourself, that invitation's out there. I have one opening before the election, and that's the 29th. If the hospital wants to come on and talk, they're more than welcome. If any of you all want to come on and talk, you're more than welcome. The 29th is open. That's my last opening before the election. So, all right, guys. I've said more than I intended to say. Rambled. And everything I've said has been my opinion. Some of it I can back with facts, but some of it's conjecture. My comments on the school system, those are easily researched. Any idiot can find it. I found it. So if I can find it, you can. All right. I'm going to call it a night. I'm getting off here. Like I said, my invitation is open. If you want to come on here and talk, come on and talk. That's it. I'm done. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll see you in the morning for the weather. You have a good night. Hopefully you'll have a good weekend.